Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from London, back from a wonderful time in Warsaw with the Bird Nest fam and all of you amazing people out there in Poland. Just want to take a second to give an absolutely massive shout out to everybody that we met from Warsaw. Very, very similar to when we went to Krakow. I would say fast becoming one of my favorite countries in the world. The people, the food, the culture is just magnificent. And obviously to be together with all the TBM fam there in one go was incredible. You're going to have to forgive the slightly husky voice today. Obviously, you don't need to be told that I talk a lot anyway. You can imagine how much that we've all been talking over the last few days with everything that's going on over Congress, as well as everything that's been happening in the markets. And that's what we're here to look at today. Want to kind of run through, I've got a couple of tokens that I really want to run through with you as well. And look, we are in just this incredible season of opportunity at the moment. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is just say for all the people messaging me, I'm so sorry. It was a long flight back last night with a few delays, nothing the fault of the Polish side, may I add. So it's just looking to update you all on what this is about, because I know a lot of you have been asking if it's too late to join and grab the offer. It's not. It's Cyber Monday, right? Okay, so we've kept the 50% offer. It's $49 to join the Discord, and we'll lock that price in for you for as long as you renew. If you sign up for 3 months, you get it for $129. 1 year commitment gets you that for $449, which is 24% off of the already discounted 50%. All right, now, you know, I'm sure you've seen them, but if you haven't had the chance, please do get onto the Twitter, check the team's yearly trading stats. They are absolutely sensational. You get access to all of this, as well as the education, the trading team, everyone. It really is our mission, and it has been our mission since 2017, to develop the very best traders and to empower everybody with the tools, resources, and education necessary to pursue their financial freedom. You know, there's bad actors in the space. I think we know a lot of very good ones as well, right? So, you know, like over Congress, for example, that's why we do that event every year, really try and, you know, expose everybody that takes the time to come to our shows and that here to all these amazing people that we've met over the years. It really is about surrounding yourself with the very best people and never being the smartest person in the room, which, you know, this joke's probably getting old for you guys now, but really isn't a problem for me. That's why I have this amazing team around me, right? So anyway, I will remind you guys about that. You can find all the links and bits and pieces down in the description as well. If you've got any questions, please do let me know. So Jojo Lee, good morning, my friend. How are we doing? Yes, Jesse as well. Good morning. Good morning. How are we all doing? Lovely to see you here. And Jojo, never, ever have to apologize for being early for one of these. You are always welcome. So I want to start with a very quick overview of Bitcoin. Like I say, we are in very, very prosperous market conditions. There's opportunities all over these markets, and we really want to make sure that we're kind of grabbing those. All right. So I want to run through a couple of bits. We're just going to start on Bitcoin, take a quick look at ETH. There's a really exciting new company that we've come across called Alchemia that are looking to disrupt the ad marketing space. And they have a token that I'm really, really interested in. So I want to cover that with you guys as well today. You know, one of those things where we want to look at it from a technical perspective, but a very fundamentally driven project as well. But also I want to cover all of your tokens. Yeah, so just get in the chat. Is there something you want me to cover? We've got an hour or 55 minutes probably by the time I stop rambling, and then we are going to cover absolutely everything that we can in that time. So without further ado, hey GGBG, how are we doing, my friend? Great to see you. And our wonderful Geo, long time member of the Nest and a true friend to all of the burblings over there. And a very good morning to you as well, Borka. Great to have you here with us. All right. Whack, my man, as well. How are we doing, brother? I am well. Poland really does hit different. I'm really, really missing it already, but mostly like missing, being together with everyone. But anyway, I'm not going to ramble too much. I just really want to cover this off at the moment, right? So a lot of people kind of saying to me, why is this line on the chart? That doesn't go anywhere, BC. It's just the 100K line, right? That's a huge psychological level for Bitcoin. So that's what we want to be aware of now. Why is this line on the chart 73,775? It's like, don't tell me we're going down there, BC. Do not do this to me. I'm not saying we are, but I am saying it's untested. And, I do really believe in the theory that we can run this, right? Let me show you this idea, right? That we could run 100K, get back down into here and form some kind of range within this environment. And this is what we really want, because as price ranges around in here somewhere, that's when the alts will really start popping. We're talking about alt season and bits and pieces like that. But I mean, we haven't really seen a fraction yet of what we want to look at. We're going to take a little look at BTC dominance as well. And what we're kind of reading into that. Just going to take a quick sip of the tea. Clear this croaky throat to give you the very best of British today. Pascal, first time for you here. Well, you are very, very welcome, my friend. You are all very welcome. Hopefully you find it interesting. And guys, really do welcome all of your feedback on these shows. So if any of you have a token you want me to look over, please do drop it here. If you see anyone dropping it somewhere where it's not really coming to my attention, please do share it in here. I don't always get all of the chats come through. We have a lot of viewers. And the chat function that comes through to me here in the studio sometimes misses out on some of those for a number of reasons. But if you do see something being asked for that I'm not covering or I haven't said, please do share it in here with me. I don't want anybody to miss out. So Bitcoin, what's going on? You know what? Let's just delete all of this, right? Hang on. Start with this fresh weekly chart, right? Now, something that we cover with members and something that we've been doing a lot recently is talking about this idea of how we can look at the daily candles to give us confluence, and the same goes with weekly candles, right? So when you're seeing candles like this, right, when you see these big body candles that close above the body of the previous candle, and especially when they close above the wick of the previous candle, we really do look for continuation. All right. Now, this one, if you look at this, that gave us 1, 2, 3, 4 into the 5th week here of being on the right side of the bias. Now, this is a really interesting candle, this one. So when we got the close here, what I love about this candle is, look, there's a couple of things. One, it's created for us an inside bar range, right? So let's draw this in because it's very, very important, all right? This is our mother bar high, which you'll see marked as MBH for mother bar high. This is our mother bar low. And don't worry if you're thinking, what the hell is he rambling on about? I'm going to cover all of this in a moment. This is our inside bar. So this is the secondary candle. We need this candle here to confirm the pattern, right? And what it is, it's basically creating a range for us, all right? So you see this as IBH, and you see this one as, I realize I've mislabeled that, by the way. I'll change that in a second, guys. This one will be IBL, right? Let me just change this because I'm obviously clicked the wrong here. This should be MBL for our mother bar low. There we go. Perfect. So the inside bar pattern is very, very simple, right? So what you're looking for here is you have a candle, any candle. If the second candle, so this candle next to it, closes, and this wick, the upper wick and the lower wick, the extremes of both, do not go beyond the high or the low here, it sits inside. Henceforth, it's an inside bar. Very traditional trading pattern, but very, very, very powerful. What does it mean? It means this is creating a range. What do we want to see on Bitcoin? We want to see Bitcoin ranging, right? The other thing I like about this candle is look at this downside wick. So, and SZ, always resonates in my head for a few different reasons. I learned so much from this man when I kind of came across some traditional markets, especially into crypto. And a couple of things. First of all, if I ever hear the term deviation, as far as I'm concerned, that belongs to him. He just, in my head, every time I hear that, that's his voice. And that's what we're looking for with a range, but we'll cover that in a moment. The other thing is the bodies of the candles. That's where we're focused on. The bodies are what price basically achieved. The wicks are what it tried to achieve, right? So price tried to desperately get all the way down here and then got bought all the way back up to there. That's pretty bullish, right? It is pretty bullish. However, this is kind of like a very skinny bodied like hammer candle or a pin bar with a short nose, you would hear it called as well. But ultimately, doji candles, and this is kind of, it has that doji type nature, are ultimately indecision candles, as is the inside bar range. So what we have here is a pre-made range. What we really want to see from price, for alts especially, is we want to see price come in, start to range about in here on Bitcoin, and then for things to run really, really hot. All right. So that's definitely on our mind. Apart from that, then we've got prior week's high here and prior week's low. Two really key liquidity targets. So if we're looking for downside targets here on a weekly basis, the first one I'm looking at is 90,820, which is here on BitGet. Yeah. So let's drop down to a daily here because we want a little bit more context in this now. What are we looking for here? Well, the market's super bullish at the moment. It's very, very difficult not to be. But, this is why we want to consider a number of different factors. So I called a trade last night with our community, right? That we cashed out. We were up we took about 10%, or we were up, sorry, on the trade about 10%. And then when I looked at the markets before I went to bed, we'd had the traditional market open. And one thing that concerned me a little bit with that, again, these are not always fully correlated. However, they are things that we want to take into consideration, is the fact that we had a very strong dollar index and that the bond markets were running hot as well. At the time as well, last night, we had equity markets that had suffered a pretty sizable correction during the Asia session. So I said, look, we're going to de-risk here. We're going to move our stops up to entry. We're going to take a little bit of profit. Ultimately, the trade was stopped at entry, meaning that we've taken no loss. We booked a little bit of profit, and now we reassess looking to go back in. So what does the daily tell us? Well, actually, the daily, we can see here, we have another inside bar range, right? So I'm not going to draw it in completely, right? But what I am going to do is this. I'm going to draw the range low here and the range high up here. Now we've taken the range low here. Yeah, this is where we're looking for liquidity, right? This is where we're looking to see if the buyers step in. So what we can do here is decant this down onto a lower time frame. But before we do that, I just want to kind of look at this, this really powerful move higher, right? And we can look at it from previous expansions as well, right? So one of the things we see here, look at this massive move up from Bitcoin here. Then, everyone's just like gig along, gig along, gig along. Ultimately, price ends up in this really grindy, yet beautiful, I have to say, kind of like downwards channel that we got here, yeah? So it was something like this, right? And basically what happened was every time we deviated the higher or the low, we stepped back in the range and we ran either to the midline, yeah? Once we claimed the midline, held the midline as support, we were range high. Now, this was the deviation. This was like an over and under move. This one here, we broke out, got back in the range, showing weakness. I would have certainly been favoring shorts here. As soon as we get back above here, it's like, okay, let's go. Big shout out to my boy, Trader Dank as well, one of my favorite people in the space and just one of my favorite human beings all around. One of the best range traders that I've come across. And he would say this here, right, which is if we've broken the range here, we climb back inside, it's showing weakness. Should we climb back outside, where's that strength coming from? So play with what the charts are telling you. Look at the way that the wicks just get moved down into here. You get these structure shifts, price sells off. Look at the wicks, look at the absorption, right? So that is always of interest to me. Anyway, the thing I wanted to say about this is when you have those large expansions, the market's basically just designed to frustrate you here, right? You get these, whether you're looking at this as a giant bull flag, a falling wedge, whether you're looking at it as a channel, ultimately this is a long period of consolidation that's designed to just keep people chopped up before you get a move like this that a lot of people miss. So what we're looking for here is something similar. Yeah, we've had this big run here. Now, I think the markets are very bullish. I think we've got a very good risk on environment in traditional markets as well. I think we've got the investors stepping in. I think the space is very, very hot. I think we've got the seasonality. I think we've got Trump in the White House. I know we've got Trump in the White House and we've got Elon Musk advising him. All of these things are very, very positive to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general because we want to see a risk. We want to see a market with a good risk appetite because, when we've got asset classes, when we've got indices flying like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, technology heavy stock indexes, it shows us that, you know, the big players in this market are ready to kind of step in and put their money where their mouth is when it comes to the tech side. And it's only a matter of time until that money flows in a big way to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, which are really kind of beta risk assets. So that's kind of just a very, very quick 10-minute rundown on where we are with Bitcoin. So while we hold this range, great. My focus is really kind of on alts here. Dropping this onto a 4-hour, you know, this is our range low here that we're looking at, right? So what do we want to see? Well, really, we want to see liquidity taken. Now, that's not a swing low on the daily, right? But it is on the weekly, which is even more important. But we have also taken the local swing low here on the daily chart. Now, again, looking at that, looking to harness my inner trader SE here, is this the deviation? Are we stepping back inside the range? If we are, do we hold that? Does this then give us the platform to... He does that so much better than me, by the way, but it's always difficult to do that with the drawing tool on TradingView on the higher time frame charts, right? But this is what we want to see, right? You want to see in a range, you want to see liquidity flushed out, right? And then you want to see price come in, kind of hold a range like this. You want to see it build a base, and then you look for those market structure shifts, or you look for these kind of areas, you know, to hold, and you say, right, okay, this is where you can be a buyer. Why? Because you know where you're wrong below there, and ultimately, you know, price can't really stop on a daily scale before it gets to there. If it does and it breaks back down, it gets back below this level, then the chances are you're looking to run the liquidity there or lower down. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking for here on Bitcoin. At the moment, I really like this, right? If I was looking at this, if I was overly focused on the daily, I'd be looking at these equal lows as well. But, you know, I like the look of that at the moment. I'm actually starting to think, wow, maybe this thing could run hot a little bit quicker. So that's just something, again, that we also want to be aware of. Now, before we kind of move on from that, did anybody have any questions on that? If you do, please do feel free to ask. Yeah, you could consider that a broadening wedge pattern, Jojo Lee. Almost looks like one of those kind of vuvuzelas, or like a, you know, like a megaphone as it's kind of casting out. Either way, all of these patterns and stuff. And by the way, if you didn't get a chance to see it, we had Axel Kaibar on Trading Congress, who was interviewed by Crypto Burp, right? He is just simply one of the very, very best, if not the best, pattern trader in the world. I think, you know, you look at his research, his background, everything that he took on, you know, from his predecessor, and everything that he's booked out on it since. I mean, wow, I learned so much from that guy. But the way that I look at it, right, is I'm looking at this much more aligned with support and resistance. Yeah. So what does that mean? Well, I'm looking at it, if I can find confluence, be it a diagonal line, be it a, you know, horizontal line, if I can find that confluence, and then I can kind of say to myself, okay, what's price doing when we engage with that level? Yeah, that's really what I'm looking for here. I'm saying, okay, what is price doing when it's engaging with that level? And if it's doing, you know, if it's looking strong, if we've had deviations, we have recoveries, then that's where I'm really, really starting to get interested. So while we're here, you know, if we start to break down back below this here, I think these equal lows get run. The other thing I love is that we've got this here within a gap. And actually, one of our new members over at TBM asked me about gaps, right? So gaps are inefficiencies that exist in the market where the market struggles with order pairing. Basically, you know, think of it like this. It's the, you know, buyers overwhelming the market, and you're basically getting slippage here to the upside. If you look at balanced price action, you notice how the bodies and the wicks of all these candles cross over the previous candles. You're just not getting gaps here, right? Where if we look at this and we say, you know, we've got candle 1, candle 2, and candle 3 here. Yeah, so let's just move that down. So that's 1, 2, 3. They're the only candles we're interested in, right? I'm just going to draw a box over them so we're fully focused. So 1, 2, and 3. The gap between candle 1's wick here and candle 3's wick here, so the upside wick of candle 1 and the downside wick of candle 3, sorry, leave this gap, yeah? Which if we draw that out, that becomes a bullish gap. The market often likes to revisit these gaps to rebalance them so that you have efficiency in the market, and they make really good places to hunt for long setups. Now, obviously, we also get bearish gaps, right? So this is one little concern that I have here on the 4 hour on Bitcoin is that we've got this bearish gap. So again, we look candle 1, candle 2, candle 3. The gap between that wick and that wick gives us the gap. And this can tell us one of two things. The expectation with a gap is that price will reject. However, if price doesn't reject, excuse me, closes above, we look for that pullback and then to long, because if we invert a gap, violate it, it becomes an inversion gap, and it's a very, very classic case of resistance turned to support. Okay, so hopefully that kind of gives some context there on gaps as well, just to do that for anybody that's new. I know we had a lot of questions over Congress. Remember, you can sign up for our 50% offer today. It finishes at midnight UTC. I've done a course on this, for example, that you can look into. There's other traders as well that we have in the trading team that have also done courses. But we're looking for Bitcoin to basically get back in this range, in an ideal world, range around a little bit, and then we're looking for these alts to run. So let's throw our attention over onto Ethereum. Okay, so we can see here on ETH, let's just zoom out a minute. Ludwig or Lodvig, apologies for my crass pronunciation of your name. It's the curse of being British. Hi, BC. No further questions. Bought aggressively on that dip. Only thing I wanted to know is whether it dips lower or not. Do a trade grill then. Thank you, brother. Yeah, so sorry, just to go back to that quickly then before we go on to ETH. I think, look, for me, I think it's really, really difficult to say. The way that I always try and be, I'm always quite pragmatic when I approach the charts. What I'm doing is I'm labeling out my key areas of interest, and then I'm waiting for price to come here. It's like, do I want to be involved in the markets here? No. Why? Because I've just not really got much confidence. I want to be involved in the markets if we come to a key gap. Yeah. If we run a key level like this, yeah, or like this. And then, you know, if we start getting down to these, that's where I'm really interested. All right. Especially, you know, the higher time frame, the level, the better. What I would say is the best way to do it is to overlay it with your context, right? So let's say, for example, you're looking at here, you're thinking, do you know what? Super bullish. When we look at the weekly, this is barely a scratch on the weekly. You know, this is just price popping back just a little bit, leaving this beautiful failure swing, teasing, just begging people to short this, right? I'm not interested in shorting it here. You know, the lower liquidity lines, ultimately, this is a weekly level. This is a daily level here as well. Sorry, a 4-hour level. These levels for me, I'm looking to long, yeah, unless we clean breakdown. Because look, if we break down and close below both of these, for example, you know, on a daily here, I'm thinking, well, where's the next liquidity? Well, simply the next liquidity for me is this, yeah, and then this. So that's what I'm looking for, and I'm looking to be reactive there. However, there's a little caveat to that. What you can do is you can use your higher time frame bias, yeah, or you can use something like BPRO, for example, which is kind of our in-house indicator. I keep it on its most simplest of settings, but it just really helps keep me with the trend, right? I mean, when did this thing flick bullish on us? This thing was bullish. But anyway, it was bullish through all of this move here as well, and then let's have a look here. It was the 7th of November. We got the confirmation breakout of this. So basically, it's kept us bullish all the way through, allowing us to buy this dip here, plenty of profit to here, even if we pull back and take that out. Stops are at entry now, so we're relieved on any risk. We've made some money, but members get access to this for free, by the way. It's included in your membership package. It's a really great indicator. It's the one that Crypto Burb himself uses. You know, I mean, the guy's made about, I think, 600,000-800,000 already this year just using that indicator. Right now, look, that's not a brag. The guy plays with size because he's earned it. You know, he was early with this. You know, he's an exceptional trader. But, you know, just if you come along to the nest, you can come along, grab the trading team calls. I think it's, God, I don't know, it's crazy amounts of money. I think it was about 70% profit last month. I think before that we did over 100% profit for members. So it's really, really good time to be involved. However, if you struggle with understanding what side of the trend you are, these trend-based indicators can be very handy. However, you know, you can also tell pretty much looking at market structure as well. Yeah. And actually, I think somewhere, actually, if one of our amazing tech team are in the background, I don't know if you have the profit and loss chart. I'm so here we go. What? Just the ghost in the machine in the background. So here you go. This is the profit and loss chart that you can see since January. $10,000 account, you'd have over 50,000. That's over 5x, right? That's just following the trading team calls. That doesn't include what we do in our intraday trading, where we have over a 90% success rate with that. We've built 64R in that. Yeah, 64x your money invested in our intraday scheme, which I have the pleasure of running. This is our amazing swing trading team. You know, we have Justput who's come in, who's just an absolute boss on the charts as well. We've obviously got Jay, Trading Tank, you know, Razoon, Jimmy as well, you know, our in-house psychologist who's a brilliant trader who actually uses BPRO himself as well. But I'm really, really super proud of this. You know, this is my team. This is, you know, our team, where we really are a family here. But this is something that you can't ignore. I saw some absolute twat munch comment earlier saying like, oh, basically the same as like if you just held a coin. It's like, first of all, do one. You obviously have no idea about trading, no idea about how to build wealth. And clearly one of these weapons that just loves coming on and just being like, oh, yeah, I could have held it. But you didn't know, did you? The whole point is that doesn't include our holding portfolio. It doesn't include the portfolio that we've had for members that is up like even higher than that, right? I just had to have a little bit of moan of that. I saw it this morning. I thought, you know what? This space is just littered with jealous people that just don't want to action this, because they're missing out. And you do not want to be one of those people. You can come along, grab the offer, and let's go. Right, so back to the charts. Let's have a look at where we are. So to answer your question, Ludwig or Lodvig, I am happy here at the moment. Look, at the moment, if we look at the market structure, higher high, higher low. This has set a lower high, but we still need a lower low. So we still need price down below this. And at the moment, it looks like it's just getting bought up quite nicely, right? So that's what I want my focus to be on. However, let's just say, as we are on a daily scale, we're bullish. Yeah, we're still bullish. We have to be before we get back below that on market structure, etc. So I would then say, okay, well, let's look at an hourly. I like the look of this hourly candle, right? The first sign for me that this thing's ready to pop and make a recovery would be an hourly close, which we'll have in 33 minutes above this level here. Now, we need to remember, until we get that close, this is not a confirmed order block. This is the down close candle I'm interested in, not this one. It doesn't matter because it would still need to close above both. But this one, engulfs this candle here. So I'm more interested in the larger candle. Now, if we close above this, then I'm looking for this area to hold as support. However, the other thing that I'm interested in here as well in Bitcoin is looking at price, getting above this bearish gap. If we close above this order block and close above this gap, then I'm really interested in just going long here. Either that, or you can look for structure recoveries as well. I personally, if I'm looking at it like this, I'm really not interested in doing it on anything less than a 15. So a super aggressive entry here would be the fact that we've swept liquidity from these lows. Now we've got this lovely expansion here, right? And in this expansion, what have we done? We've had our market structure shift here. Or, just because it's a little bit further away and cleaner, and look at it from here, right? Our MSS, market structure shift. What does that mean? Well, lower low, lower higher, lower low, lower higher, higher low, higher high, flushed out to a lower low. Now we've set a higher high. It means that we can see the dynamic changing. But look at the difference between this move up, where we shift structure here. Yeah, so that's down there to up here. There's no displacement. There's no gap. So what I want to see on the 15-minute here is I want to see this gap left, right? Because this closes in a couple of minutes, actually. So we'll come back and actually take a look at this, right? That gap being left there means that we can look for price to close above this, draw back down into here, and then we are looking golden. Yeah? Does that make sense to everyone? That's what I would look for. But again, remember, this is a 15-minute chart, right? So we're looking at this being very, very aggressive. All right. Erica, hello, lovely. Oh, Aussie as well. I didn't see you snuck in there, mate. Hey, everyone. Great to see you. All right. And Jojo as well. I will cover this a lot more inside the Discord for you as well, my friend. But just so that we kind of rip through and just allocate some of this time to alt. I mean, guys, are there any tickers you want us to take a look at? Right. I'm going to move on to ETH now. And we'll come back to the BitGet chart, to the BTC chart. Right, let me just clean this up for you guys. Obviously, it's been a very, very busy few weeks in a good way. But look, these are our kind of lower time frame levels. This is the real thing that I'm interested in. This is a weekly chart. This will make a lot more sense on a daily, right? But just key areas of support and resistance here on Ethereum. We can take a look at that in a bit. But now let's just make sure we're starting with a nice naked chart. If I can actually get rid of all of these saying that, let me just save these into a group. Not going to want to let me do it, is it? Damn you, TradingView. Right, this is what we're going to do. Perfect. This is a key SR level. We're going to keep this one on there, but hopefully we're not looking at that anytime soon. So again, what are we looking at here on ETH? Beautiful weekly expansion the last couple of weeks. Price coming in, closing above this down close candle here, gave us the weekly order block. So price is still obviously looking really nice and bullish. Now we've got this kind of internal range high here, right? And internal to this range, so this move down, yeah, the kind of dealing range or the trading range, all right? So this here is not bothering me too much, purely because we had a really, really clean, clear break above it, yeah? So if we draw this across to here, you often see that with these highs and lows. When you kind of come up and you get this big move across, this is the kind of area I'm looking to hold. So that's where we are on a weekly. Not really much else to say that. ENA, yeah, sure. Let's take a look at ENA. Beautiful. Okay. So then I'm moving to the daily, right? And Lodvik, this could be interesting for you as well, because like you say about, are we going down further? What are we doing to kind of, you know, to get ourselves to a point where we can give ourselves conviction that this thing is going up, not just kind of saying, oh, okay, yeah, I think we're going to go from here, right? Which I know, you know, a lot of people struggle with that conviction, and I can understand why. So let's just pop that in here. Just a bit too green for my liking. There we go. Now, something that's interesting here on a daily scale, and this is how we build confluence. We build our higher time frame bias, we paint this picture for ourselves, and then we use lower time frames to find out the areas that we want to execute. So we've got a daily order block here, right, that hasn't been tested. So you see those on my charts as OBD. We can see what happened here with the weekly order block, right? We can see we had this order block here as well that never got retested. However, you can see what did happen, and that's that price just tickled down into this gap here before this large expansion higher. So what's wrong with history repeating itself here? Yeah, large expansion, bullish gap, large expansion, bullish gap, lower time frame back above this level. Yeah, look for something like this for this to be held, and then we're away. All right. Excuse me. So the other thing that's interesting here is closing above this here has also set another daily order block. So I want to see how price kind of reacts in and around this area. We're kind of purging quite deep into it here, but what I'm actually looking for typically is for price to just hold this 50%. Yeah, so that's the low of the wick of the order block from the body of the top. That's how I do it. That's my, you know, my own personal method. I'm sure that's shared by other traders, by the way. I don't, you know, I haven't made that up, but some people consider wick to wick. Other people just take the bodies, just whatever kind of works with you based on your data. But I like to see this 50% level held. And at the moment, we can see that that's holding very nicely. So what does that mean in terms of actionable plays? Well, it means that I'm looking in this area here for longs, or I'm looking at this box here for longs. I'm not particularly interested in shorting this market because we're so bullish, right? I might take some intraday plays, yeah. But ultimately, my intraday plays would be taking profit very quickly and looking for it to move that down into the box and then move away, okay? So let's take a look here and move this down to a 4-hour chart. So again, 4-hour chart, beautiful kind of hold of this kind of order block area here. Now we need to remember that's a daily order block. So a little close below here on the 4-hour isn't really of concern to us, all right? We want to be making sure that we're allowing for that context of the correct time frame. So really within here, I'm saying, okay, what have I got in here with price? What's price doing? Have we run a low? Have we taken a high? So if we draw this across here, we can see we haven't taken those lows, but it means that we've left equal lows here on the 4-hour, which is just telling me that with this support resistance level failing to be touched yet, and these equal lows, that there's a pretty strong draw on liquidity to the downside. So any interaction with these levels here, I'm really keen to look to jump on board and be a buyer. Any interaction with the bullish gap, we've got lower, and I'm looking for the same. Why? Because weekly's telling me to be bullish, daily's telling me to be bullish. I now need to replicate that on the 4-hour. If I'm looking at it on an hourly basis, then realistically what I want to see here is I want to see price move with momentum. And probably the thing that I would look at the most here is waiting for an inversion of this bearish gap. Yeah, so for price to come along, close above here, going to do that in green just to show that it's a bullish candle. And then what we look for here is then look for pullbacks to this area. All right. And then we look to step on board as long players, right? Now that would be purple because depicting the classic support and resistance flip that we've looked at on other charts. Okay, again, super aggressive play on this one's going to be the 15-minute. And on the 15-minute, we can see here, we've had this kind of down move here. Again, as we look across, what happened here? Got the inversion. This, again, support resistance, right? So price came up, resistance, resistance, closes above, back into this here. This is where the inversions confirm the close of that candle. This would be your intraday opportunity to get involved long, and just to show you the fractal nature of the price. So you can see the type of trades we would be looking at as a scalper. If I'm looking at this trade here, then what I'm looking for is move with expansion after having some kind of liquidity sweep, right? So you can either look for these lows to be taken, actually there's a lot of equal lows resting down there. Again, I know this is a 1-minute chart, guys, but this price really is fractal, right? So when you see these moves start to happen, the expansion leaving these gaps, notice how price just kind of tags into this gap just in a marginal way here, meaning you can be a buyer at the gap. You know where you're wrong. Ultimately, you're targeting higher, but I would probably be looking to mitigate risk around about here at about 1.2R, because that's the local swing high, all right? And then ultimately what we're saying is we think that there's engagement with this level above. Remember, this is currently a bearish gap. It hasn't been inverted yet, right? And that's how we would trade it. And there's no difference. What I would use is I'd be using, a daily time frame, an hourly time frame, and then looking to execute on this for an intraday basis. If I'm looking at it on higher time frames, I'm using, like a weekly, then I'm using a 4-hour, and then I'm using something like a 15-minute to get involved as well, right? So at the moment, we're expecting that expansion higher, but we would ultimately have our risk managed here regardless. So that kind of covers ETH. Bear with me 1 second. God, I'm not sure there's anybody on this stream as old as in my kind of age range, but if anybody from Britain remembers a program called The Fast Show, I've got that kind of level cough going on at the moment today. Right, so let's zoom back out again. What else do we? There's a really interesting ticker I want to show you actually. So there's a company called Alchemia, right? Looking to really disrupt the current ad marketing space. And the reason that I'm in love with this is because I used to run a big digital marketing company that's now based out in South Africa. I actually gave up my shares in that company to pursue trading full time. I can't remember now, 4 or 5 plus years ago. But still very much in touch with them. Amazing company run by a really, really dear friend of mine. And they're in the marketing space, right? So I understand the marketing space, and I've seen this as an area that's so ripe for disruption for so very long. Now, a friend of mine introduced me to Alchemy, and I really kind of looked deeply into them. Well, actually, I say that. I got our team to look deeply into them. My dear friend Marcin as well, who's really been an absolute boss on this. And the whole key is, the ad industry is massively monopolized by giants like Google and Meta. All right. So what Alchemia are trying to do is, allow their token holders to access, real world yield, derived from fiat currencies, right? So it's kind of something that's under the real world asset level. It's also deep in, yeah. So very, very, very strong narratives at the moment. So I want to take a look because I've been very, very interested to take a look at this token. So let me just take a little look at it here. Let's have a look what we've got. Yeah, already started to rip, hasn't it? Man, this is looking strong, right? Because what you've got is, look at the way you get these rounded bottoms, right, on here. And again, look, sometimes, loving Congress and stuff, right, and everything that we do here. But sometimes there's just not enough hours in the day to be doing all the bits and pieces you want, right? So why does this look really, really good here? Well, the key for me is, look at the structure. First of all, the structure is lovely. We've swept a low there. Price is looking extremely bullish. We've set a weekly order block here as well. And man, this thing looks good, actually. Hang on. This looks very, very good. Now, I know it's a little bit ahead, yeah, but if we do close this candle by the close of week here, we would also have a bullish weekly order block. The whole point of these is what it's doing is it's kind of securing this level, and it's saying, right, LFG. All right, let's take a look at that. Consider ID. I will do. Space ID. ASAP? No, not sure about that. I'll consider it. I prefer please, to be honest. It is ripping, Jojo. You're absolutely right. So if we look at it here on the daily, look at this. This is really nice. It's already on a 10. Look, I never ever advocate kind of jumping into these things, right? Especially when they're starting to rip. What I want to do is I want to find these levels start to flip. Yeah. So first thing I'm going to look for on a daily basis is a close above this. But yeah. So they don't have that coin in your exchange. Oh, sorry to hear that, Jojo. I mean, I think it's on Mexi as well, KuCoin. I know it's quite limited at the moment, but I'm sure it won't be for very long. Because looking at our upside targets here, there's really not a lot to stop this until we get up to 0.2375. Let's have a look. And then 0.2510 beyond that. But again, look, you see these untapped highs sitting over here and then all the way up. Huge liquidity pools around there. I mean, I think we were still very, very early to this one personally. So how can we get involved in these, right? So let's have a look here. If we go to a 4 hour, 4 hour looks strong. See how we came into this high here, right? This is how liquidity works. We just swept that high there. You see just the wick just sneak up above it. And then sellers really sold off heavy here because there was that, you know, just that worry. There's that concern about, oh my God, is this going to work? Is it going to be okay, right? The other thing we want to look at, you always want to look at your chart and say, okay, well, where's the key support and resistance levels here? You're looking back on, you know, the amazing, you know, stuff that I learned from Trader SC, learned from people like Trader Dante. Then, you know, even focusing on local areas, what I'm looking for here are strong reactions at a key level. Or, as Dante would say, oh, excuse me, guys, violence. Yeah, really, really violent reactions. What do we mean by violence? Well, quite simply, stuff like this. Yeah. Why this? Why is this of interest, this level here? Well, this level here is super of interest because it's the level that preceded this massive pump. Yeah. Violence. Price tapped this level and then absolutely mooned. So if there was that level of buyers there before, well-informed buyers, remember, why are they well-informed, BC? Well, because they freaking bought there and price did that. So they know that there's a reason to buy it there. That's why there was a really good reason to buy it here again, yeah? Now, you know, you don't just ape into these coins. What you can do is you can just move down onto a lower time frame, yeah? And then we can look at this and you can say, okay, how do I know where to get involved? Quite simply, you can wait for these structural moves here, sweep, market structure break, you're a buyer in here, and then ultimately, look, you've caught all of this move to the upside at the moment. But this thing is just looking really, really hot. As we move down here and we look at this, sorry, let me just pop back to the daily again, just for a moment. Right, in terms of key SR levels here, what am I looking for? I mean, there's a lot of very strong moves kind of over in here, right? You can just see them, big sell off, big sell off. This one here is very interesting, actually, although it's happened a little bit before us, right? Look at this. Actually, let's just get rid of those for a minute. Let's hide them. I'll show you a little trick when we're looking at support and resistance, right? Well, not a trick, just something you might not be aware of. Also, look at all the stack divergences we have here, by the way. That was mad. God, can we just all agree that we can just add an extra 10, maybe 12 hours to the day? That would just be awesome, because in market conditions like this, you know, that's why you need a team around you. This high, right, is what I would call an abnormal wick high. Why is this high of interest? Wouldn't really be of interest to me that much here. It's an interest of me here because it's left equal highs at this point. The strong close above tells me that there's momentum here and the price is pushing higher. It's once we then have this interaction here. Yeah, so this wick becomes of interest, first of all, when we get this, because they're equal highs, yeah? But then when we revisit it here, it becomes of super interest because we can see that we get that reaction. Fine, price bounces and it gets swept back by these equal highs here, but I don't mind that. Then look what happens. We close below it, retest it, and we sell off. What do? Deviate it here, we sell off again, and then we come down to our key support level here. So as I'm looking at this, right, clicker, yeah, of course, mate. Let's take a look at whiff. As I'm looking at this here, again, this levels of interest. Why? Resistance, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, you know, deviation underneath, resistance. What happened here? Closed above it, look, by a smidge, retested it, and rocketed. So that's really, really of key interest to me. But now I'm saying, okay, well, what's price doing here? Is there anything really that should be stopping price around here? And again, we've got a really interesting support and resistance level here as well. I'm just going to do this in green because we can see here that we've got this now flipped from resistance to support. It's very dark green, I know, so a little bit of a cheat. But look at this wick. Why is this of interest? Well, again, here it's not really of that much interest. But here it is, right? Why? Because look, that's the wick that causes it. Deviation, price gets above, support, price gets underneath, retests it, resistance. Let me just get rid of this one just for a moment. Yeah, retests it here. Resistance, right? Oh, cook, Domsey. Absolutely. I absolutely love to cook as well. So always happy with that. What we'll do is, guys, I know it's a little bit education focused, but I'm really, really, really conscious that we've got so many new people coming. We've had thousands of new members come in to join us at the Bird Nest as well. We would just love to welcome all of you. But I know when they're in the Bird Nest that they are in a safe, proven, accredited environment to learn, right? What I don't know from people when they're flooding into this space and you have all these shillers in the market is that people are saying, buy this coin, do this, throw everything into this, and it's all going to hell. Look, you're never going to win any trades, but make sure you're always building enough education on yourself in the background and surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, you know, that you can rely on. But ultimately, if me, one of the team or someone else shows you an example that looks interesting to them or something they're backing, you don't take that blind. Just think to yourself, right, let me have a look at the chart. What does it tell me? And these are really, really simple concepts that hopefully you guys can apply to those as well. Let's have a look. Percepticon. That's an awesome move. Let's have a look at this. Boom. Yeah, sure, buddy. Boom. Be over there. Like I said, I'm going to just do a very, very quick rip through of these in a moment, right? And then if you've got any questions, you can reach out to us via the Discord. And also you can reach out on Twitter. So why is this of interest? Resistance, deviation, above, resistance. So up here, never found support, close below, small retest, sell off, resistance here. So what happened here? Close above, retest, we long it, right? One of the best people I've ever met at this is our trader, Just Pit. Yeah, he identifies these levels like it's nothing, and then he just goes, and I'm going to do a really poor impression of him here that he's going to hate. But he goes, BC, resistance, I'm in, bang, done. Doesn't hesitate, doesn't flip, enters a position, creams the market. BC, we've closed above, bang, we've got a retest, he's long, right? And then ultimately what you're doing is you're using these high time frames to paint the picture. You're mitigating by closing out some of your risk here. You take some profit, move your stop loss to entry, and then ultimately you keep that bag to push price higher. And if it doesn't, it comes back down. That's how we have been, or one of the ways we've been really crushing the charts lately, okay? So let's have a look here. I just love this level. I just can't see where it's running until here. The one issue we've got is that we've just got a little local high here, right? Right, so let's have a look. Apologies if you hear any noise in the background, by the way, guys. There's some works going on outside. Came back last night to find out that we've got more works going on down the road. I think fiber optics or something, maybe, but hopefully all for the good. And Meta Taco, another good name. Brett and Delvin as well. Brett and Gala. Yeah, sure. Let's have a look. Brett. Running out of room on my highly technological post-it note here, but let's just take a look. So this is a really good way to look at this, but you can see how this starts to show strength through here. The other thing, remember, guys, is we're looking for a couple of things. We're looking for our gaps and our order blocks. So what have we got here? Daily order block, down close candles, price close above, buy on the retest. Really is that simple. I know it doesn't sound it. I know it sounds nonsense sometimes, but it really, really is. Again, gaps. This was a bearish gap. Price closes above it on this candle here. Let me just zoom in so you know I'm not talking nonsense. Price closes above this here. Yes, we flush back out. We close back above it here. We confirm the inversion, support resistance flip. Ultimately just tells us that we're heading for the next liquidity pool. And that's all we're doing. That's why I say to people about trading level to level. But this looks really, really strong at the moment. Also, it has something that's very important to me behind it when I'm looking at alts and disruptors, which is that it's got a really good, I know, Wax. So we had BT down there, 3 months of work for BT. Now we've got bloody City Fiber. I'm just amazed they're not digging that up to just use the same lines. But I suppose maybe as competitors they're doing that. And then we had roadworks, we got resurfacing going on as well. First world problems, really. Very lucky to live in a beautiful part of the world. But I suppose there's quite a lot of demanding people around here as well. So henceforth why we get those disruptions. And as we speak, this thing's already starting to pop. So that's it. I am, you know, full exposure. I'm involved in this project. I'm not as in any way. They're not giving me toast. They're not anything. But I am a buyer of this project. I love what they're doing. I think it's a great disruptor. I think it can have a huge run in this market as well. But I just wanted to look at the chart to show you, because when I say things about this online and people say to me, "Oh, why are you interested?" I always like to overlay the technicals on any investment I make. Right. The reason for that is because I use these to find good areas to buy. Yeah, because if I do that, I use the right areas and I know what I'm looking for, right? For example, this should really stand out to you as a key resistance level here, right? Even if you're just drawing it very loosely. Why? Because just look at it, squidge the charts up. Yeah, just say to yourself, price is struggling so much in this area here. Yeah, or even if you look at it like this, right? And you look at this as a box. So what have we got? Look, support, 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 big move up. What happens here? Price closes, but resistance. Look how long it's trapped under here. Gets back above, deviation back below, sells off. Larger deviation, price gets below, hits this point of compression. We get that nice rounded bottom that starts to step in here, right? And then price ultimately pops higher. So why does that help me out? Well, it means that I can be a buyer with conviction here when we get a breakout. This level that we've got in here means I can be a buyer here. Yeah, I can mitigate risk if we get back down below it. So that's why I'm looking for these kind of key levels. All right. So what we're going to do is take a look at ENA, KA, ID, WIF, Cook, Bone, Brett, and Gala. All right. And then we're going to absolutely smash through these in the next 9 minutes. I say we're going to smash through these. I am going to try and smash through these. But something else I want to introduce you to as well is our Giga Chad Just Pit. Like I say, one of the very best price action traders I've ever met. And another really, really top Polish lad. He's doing his $100 to $1,000 trading challenge. You might think, it doesn't sound like a lot. Well, we could do 100 grand to $1 million, or we could do 1K to 10K. It really doesn't matter. You're doing a 10X leverage challenge. The reason we're doing it for this is because we want to show you guys that you can enter the market with a smaller account. I think there's a big misconception, people putting the big challenges up there. And I respect it massively. An absolute guy that I love to pieces, right? And one of the most fantastic traders, Follis, right, is doing this incredible challenge at the moment, I think 10 to 100K or something. So full respect to him. But the reason we've chosen a small amount is we've noticed we've had a really big influx in members from certain parts of the world that don't have as much access to capital. And sometimes they don't realize that, okay, I don't need 10K to do this challenge, or I don't need 1,000 to this challenge. We can do it with 100. If you can grow $100 to $1,000, I don't know what it is that goes through your head that makes you think that you couldn't grow 100K to $1 million, or 10K to 100K. Like, it's just the same. You'd be taking the same trades just with bigger size. All right. So you would need to consider things like slippage, etc. However, that kind of is what it is. Anyway, just want to make you aware of that, because I'm super excited about this and to see what he's been doing. He's absolutely been crushing it. So now we are going to rip through those tickers. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to take a sip of water and then we are going to go. Beautiful. Right. Okay. So just to run through those with you again, were tickers that we are focused on here is, you snuck some more on there, Jojo, you sneaky beast. All right. No problem. Let me have a look. What are they? Kaz. Did someone say Kaz earlier? I've written down KA. That doesn't really feel right. I'll have a look for a KA ticker. Let me just pop back through it. No, it was Kaz. Sorry, my bad. I wasn't obviously paying attention. So I will look at Kaz, mate. And Tia as well. Again, Just Pit with a ripping call on Tia the other day. So let's take a look at that. 9 minutes. Ready? Do love a challenge, especially for the amount that I talk. So we're going to start with ENA. I'm going to do all of these on the spot accounts as well, guys, right? So do consider that. So weekly, what are we looking at on the weekly? Weekly looks very strong. Key level I'm looking for price to draw to is here, which is at 1.0769. This is a beautiful run up here. We can see as we look to the left, this really helped us with confirmation when we got this gap inversion. Gap inversion, price closes above. We look for it to draw down into these inversion gaps and then ultimately rip. So if we look at this now on a daily, what's the daily telling us? Well, the daily itself is looking good as well, because we're holding this skinny bullish gap here. So I'm super happy with that. Just going to move back here and see if we've got any key kind of support resistance levels. Probably not really on this time frame. I would say that, again, this was the key SR level here. Right. Because when you look at this here, this is the key low. Support here, close below, retest, sells off. What happens? resistance, resistance, deviation, over, under, back, above, and now price is running. So I really like the look of that. If you want daily plays here, I would be waiting for price to close above this to confirm the order block. Ultimately, while it holds this gap and this order block, I think this is looking really, really strong here on a 4 hour. One thing I would be concerning myself with a little bit here are these equal highs. I'd really like to see something like this actually. Run the equal highs, get back down below, potentially some intraday shorts of which find confirmation here, back above this here, then I think we could absolutely rip. Sorry, the lines are terrible. But hopefully you get the idea. Be looking for price to come up here, have the deviation, climb back in here, basically forming this as a range. Price gets underneath and then pop back. Completely agree. Lysergic Banger Radio, another awesome name. We're really picking them today. It does need a pullback because I want more of it. So ENA, that is the plan. Right, so KAS. Let's have a look at you. Where are we? Here we are. Okay, so again, let's start with that weekly chart. Again, look, liquidity sweeps price anyway. Old news for you guys, but thankfully good news for members. What do I like about this here on a weekly scale? We've got the weekly inversion gap here, which is supporting price. Notice how when price closes above, we look for this area here to hold. The other thing that we have here is a very, very skinny weekly order block that we can consider as well if we come back down that low. Remember, I'm putting these levels on the chart because I'm waiting to see if price engages with these levels. We have equal highs here as well. Because if we do, this is where I would look to potentially get short for a pullback to find a key area to then get long again. Or if we break down and close below these certain levels, then, you know, we're starting to look for lower targets as well. Let's have a look what we've got. So daily is an interesting one, actually. So this is the high here that represents the equal highs on the weekly chart. So we're just going to draw this one in here as well. Price is holding a bullish gap here, which I like. So my conditions for this one is for price to continue to hold this gap, use this as a base, and then we look to long up to these highs. If we close below this gap here, then it is a tricky one actually, because we do have this bullish order block here as well on the daily. I think with the current market conditions, I'm just looking to long from here. Yeah, if we close back below, looking at these order blocks here for that retest and then to rip it higher. So that's the play on KAS. I don't even need to move to the 4 hour. That is so very clean. If we continue, if we don't move to that and we hold this order block here, then my conditions for this would be for price to get back above this bearish order block, this bearish gap here on the 4 hour, and then use this as a base to push up higher. So ID, let's have a look. ID USDT. There we go. So let's have a look. So relatively new ticker here for BitGet, which is fine. Okay, so unlike a lot of the other assets here, ID has failed to kind of flip that gap at the moment. But this is a weekly scale. Remember, we can see real nice kind of bullishness through this asset here already. Yeah, because when we look across here, look at how well respected these order blocks are here. Down close, scale, close above, retest, price moves away. We've got this order block here as well. The price has come in for a retest. So I think I want to see a weekly close above that. That would be the dream scenario, to use that as a base on a daily scale. You know, price is continuing to hold the daily order block that's here. So let's take a look and draw that in. So as long as we do that, I'm looking for longs from here, or I'm looking for longs from this daily order block here as well. If we do hold this level and we're looking for more aggressive players on the 4 hour, and again, I think we're going to kind of see a fair bit of this across the board. How long have we got? I've got 2 hours now until the close of the candle. I'd like to see price get back above this. I think then we've confirmed that we've held the daily order block, we've inverted the 4 hour gap. Then I think we're going to get that move that moves higher, and ultimately we get that daily close. But look, when we have those high time frame levels, remember what we're doing. Buyers here, buyers here. We didn't get a chance to be a buyer here because price didn't correct back down, right? But ultimately, even with this one on the daily, look, buyers here. You still caught that move to the upside, even though you would have been stopped out now at entry. That's still almost a 10% move, 9% move, right? don't sleep on these things, because these higher time frames can be really, really kind of misleading sometimes, right? So now on to WIF. Okay, so first thing that I see with WIF here is this massive upside wick, right? So we've run that higher. I mean, liquidity taken, ultimately the markets are just, we're talking about pure liquidity games here, right? Wick's taken, comes back down, look at the absorption, price can't close above that. It's okay though, because ultimately it's still holding this bullish gap over here. Right, let's just make sure we get that on there. So as long as we hold this gap, I'm happy to look for longs from here. Now on a daily scale, cool, nice abnormal wick over here, right? So they normally make really, really nice targets. What do we got? Price correcting back down from here. So I think the interesting thing here is this candle closing above the body of this one here told us that price was likely to take this candle's high, which it did here, right? The fact that it's now taken the low from down here could be enough to propel this one higher. So I'm looking at this actually as the daily of the sweep of the prior day's low, which is the PDL. So what I'm more interested in, however, is getting a sweep of that, because that's a gap. We've got that higher time from the weekly gap here. So that's a gap low. Doesn't represent here on the daily, but it's a low within a higher time frame gap, which should be a really good liquidity pool. So if we do push down from here and we do recover this, then I've got even more conviction we're going to do something like that. For the more aggressive players, if we do just hold the prior day's low here and we step back in, this is a little bit of a tricky one for me, because we have a lot of inefficiencies in here, right? These 4-hour inefficiencies. We do want to give weight to the higher time frame. However, what I'd look at here is this inversion. So this is a bearish inversion, meaning it should have been bullish support. It failed, closed below, meaning this is now resistance. So if I'm looking at this now on an hourly to gain more context, what do I want to see? Well, actually, we've just closed above this down close candle here. So we want to see this hourly order block hold. If we see that hold, same principles apply. All we do is we look for our pattern. Yeah, price. Oh, definitely that isn't definitely not our pattern. Let's say this is what we're looking at here. This is a higher time frame support level. You want to see price do something like this, right? Where it comes into the support level, wicks below it, reclaims the high that swept the low. Yeah, and then this is what gives you your opportunity to enter in here. Yeah, you've got a local sweep, a higher time frame sweep, or deviation. Price steps back in. You want to see an impulse move here, a high energy move, and then ultimately you can look to be a buyer at a gap here, or look for some kind of gap inversion in this move here, right, to get extra confirmation. But that ultimately is what I'm always looking for on the lower time frames. So that's where we are with WIF. Just to kind of run back through that, the reason that I would move back today is I would expect these to be taken down here. I think the high time frame liquidity pools are king here. But, if you are doing this on an intraday basis, then this is what I would be doing here. I'd want to see this area held here. I'd want to see these highs taken out here, these equal highs with displacement. Yeah, price above these, and then you can look to be a buy here. But do, make sure you're cautious if you're dropping down to things like the 5-minute chart and lower, especially with crypto. So that's WIF. So Cook, we're definitely not going to finish this on time, by the way, guys. But however, I did promise you this, so there's no way I'm going to let you down. Now, weekly on Cook. Okay, very, very new token. I want to see it close above this down close candle to confirm the order block. On the daily, again, I want to see the daily close above this bearish order blocks at the moment. So bearish gap, ideally above this down close candle here as well, in which case then my price targets switch very quickly to this, which is 0.034 and 3 zeros. All right. So again, close above this on a daily scale, we want to see pull back towards this area, and then we long it. Just very quickly look at the 4-hour. 4-hour looks super strong here as well, right? So I think it's all about that daily close and flipping this area over here. Boom was another one, wasn't it? Let's have a look. Oh, Bone, sorry, wasn't it? Yeah, Bone, not Boom. That's me thinking of boomers like myself. Weekly doesn't really tell us much here. Weekly order block here is kind of supporting price, so we'll take a look at that. Draw that back to here. We want to see that kind of area hold. However, I think the business is going to be done on the lower time frames here. Looking like a bit of an ugly candle here at the moment, but they often do. Obviously, it can all change very quickly. So downside targets here are 0.008158. Want to see that swept, climb back above, and then move higher. That is the dream scenario there. Thank you, brother. I feel old sometimes, but I'm probably a bit older than people think I am. But flattery will absolutely get you everywhere. And then on the 1 hour, bang, invert the bearish gap, and then I think we really could look to move up there. So Brett, what do we got here on our old mate Brett? Let's have a look. Not really sure what that is. Yeah, nice liquidity sweep, hold of the level, great, happy days, but let's get a nice clean chart in front of us. It's always best to do it that way. Well, in my opinion, anyway. That weekly gap down there is quite a tease, I think, for price. Maybe a flush down into here, get everyone bearish, and then have a real big rip off the back of it. This for me was the level that was really capping the market successfully. This order block, down close candles here, price failed, closed above. So maybe we retest this now. So order block daily, definitely looking there. That is sat at 0.1783. And then on the 4 hour, if we're not going to get down to that order block down there, then I want to see a reaction at this gap. All right. We've just tapped into it here. So again, if we want to add a bit more confluence here, let's get ourselves closed above this here, confirming the order block, on the 4 hour in a couple of hours time, and then I think we could really look to move higher. So that's Brett. So Gala and TI. So Gala, not Gakler. Okay, so it's very similar to a lot of the other ones we looked at. There's a few that didn't do this, but a lot of them have, right? They've had those kind of gap inversions now where, you're looking for, this is kind of looking also at an area of mitigation, meaning that this, these up close candles here, just focus on the bodies for a second. Just going to do this in like bright blue. Those up close candles were the bearish order block that led to that massive sell-off. So if we're looking for an area to mitigate, meaning we want to see, what was ultimately the catalyst for a really big sell-off become the area that those sellers think, okay, I can't actually short this here, it's too strong, I'm going to flip to being a buyer. This area is of really great interest. So happy that we've closed above, and it looks like we're retesting this. Lots of liquidity above these weekly highs over there as well. Oh, actually, this is starting to look really nice. This is holding a really nice weekly, daily gap here as well, right? So that's of significance for me. If we start to dip a little bit lower, oh God, look at this. And we closed above it here, confirming the order block on this candle, retest, and we just pumped. Want to see this and this hold here. I'll look at the 4 hour for you guys, but again, if this holds before ripping down into here, just want to see a close above the 4 hour previous down close candle to give the confidence that this, order block is being respected. And now we're going to finish on TIA. Get rid of all of this jazz. Again, really nice base built here. We're expecting that kind of breakout. I know it's been very, very similar across a lot of alts, so I appreciate that it does sound a little bit unoriginal, but yes. It is what it is. Might not sound original, but it's making a lot of money. And sometimes just doing the simple things well can change a hell of a lot, right? The other thing that's of interest here actually is this gap, right? Because just notice this over here. Right, look at this. That was a bearish gap. Why is it significant? Resistance. Closed above. So we've now got this inversion. We've also got this bullish gap below. Maybe a little wick down into this recovery, and then we absolutely start to moon. Let's see. Powerful because it's on a weekly chart. This I really like to see as well. We've got the confluence from a daily gap sitting in here as well. Notice how we're kind of overlaying the confluence here. We're saying to ourselves, right, support. Do we short here? Absolutely not. This thing could tear all the way down to here, and I would not care. I really don't. I just want to see this level. If it does close below these and it violates them, then I'm zooming out onto the chart and saying, where's the likelihood that it's going to head next? Well, all these untapped lows, right? Ultimately, big liquidity pool under here. Do I think that we'll get them? I don't know. You never really do. Ultimately, we're in bullish structure here. The markets are bullish. The risk on environment is prosperous. So I'm, focusing myself on long plays here. If I wanted extra confirmation, I would look for these two down close candles to be closed above, confirming the daily order block. Look for that to be retested, and then we rip. Looking at the key support resistance level here, right? Because the first thing I always look across is we've got an abnormal wick here. Does this really have it? God, I'm really sorry if you can hear that, guys. We only have one more to go through. I did ask them to hold off until 2 o'clock, so it's my fault for going too long, but very kind of them to do so. But just looking at this here, long downside wick, is that of interest? Not really, just because I don't really see that as a key SR, because if I draw the line across, yeah, I can see support here, but this is all too messy. So what I'm going to do now is move that down to here. It really is flipping loud, that, isn't it? Imagine how loud it is this end. Right, we've only got this to get through, guys. Right, so look, resistance, support, lose it, resistance. Now we've closed back above it. This is a key level. If I had Pitt on the channel with me, he'd be telling me to buy this here as long as we get the setup right. It's a key SR level. So let's look at that. Confluence, gaps holding, inversions holding, key SR level holding as support. So what do we want to see on the 4 hour? We want to see some kind of liquidity swept ideally. So would love to have seen this low taken out over here. Didn't quite get down there. That could be a real sign of strength, but I would be a lot happier if we have taken that low, engaged with these gaps. This kind of just general area here, right? This kind of general area around here is where I really want to be longing from. If I'm too impatient, and impatience is very rarely rewarded in the market, I would look at the hourly and say, I want to see some form of structure shift, or actually what I want to see is this inverted. So bearish gap at the moment. Let's get back above the bearish gap. Let's invert that, turn that into support, and let's tear for the moon. Right, 11 minutes past. We got through that. Very kind from our side to give us that little bit of extra time as well, although it may well have just been an intended and extended tea break for the ladies and gentlemen working on the highway. So what do we want to cover off now? I want you to come and join us over at the Nest. I want you to come and be part of thousands of members that have been making tons and tons of money with us in this market. Life-changing opportunities ahead. Invest the time in yourself, right? Not just into us. Come along, just try it for a month. It's $49. If you don't like it after a month, you can just go. It really is that simple. I want you guys out there to find the best community for you. Obviously, I think it's the one that I'm part of. That's why I choose to be part of it. And we put so much work into making it the very best. And you can get it for 50% off. $49 to invest in yourself, to get access to all the indicators, the strategies, the trading team, the education, the calls that have been nothing but profitable, right? Look at the equity curve. That is absolutely insane. That's, and not to mention the bot that we're just about to release, which has done twice the S&P 500 returns in the first 6 weeks. Then use that time that you're making money on these calls to invest in yourself, go through our education courses, reach out to the team, join our live trading sessions and all the other bits and pieces, and just make the very, very best for yourself in these markets. Okay. We have the information up here. You can scan the QR code. I believe this one should work. If you have any issues with this at all, just reach out to us and let us know. The rest of the stuff you can find down in the description. All right, guys. No, GGBG. Honestly, the fact that you guys are here every week, you turn up, you work hard. I see so many of you returning to this show every week. We've got 3,000 people almost live with us today, and I know 2-3 times that will watch it again on recording. So I just want to say a very, very special shout out to all of you guys as well. You guys ultimately are the reason that we do this. We're all very, very grateful and thankful for the opportunities we were given in our lives by people when we started, especially me. I had Tone Vase take me under his wing, give me his MRI indicator and stuff like that, introduced me to the world of, really double down on my risk management. SZ, who taught me so much, Trader Dante, friends of mine who were in the trading industry, who I did before I even got into crypto. It has been a wild journey, and we are building something so, so special for you over the next few months and years and well into the future. We've been here till 2017. I want us to be here until the end of time, and I'm sure we can be. Just come and join the adventure, right? That's all I'm going to say. If you need any help, please do reach out. We've got an amazing support team as well, and you can always reach out to me on Twitter at BC_Richfield. So, I'm going to leave it there. We've done about an hour and 15 minutes. Hopefully, there was some value for you in there, guys, as well. Just to recap, we covered ADS, Bitcoin, Ethereum, ENA, KAS, ID, WIF, Cook, Bohm, Brett, Gala, and TIA. And sorry, the one last thing that I just want to leave you with here, bear with me a second, is looking at Bitcoin dominance. All right. We just want to see this bugger just continue to plummet down, right? The lower that this goes, the more we get back down into these kind of regions here. Let me just turn something on for you that shows you this, because see how the line chart follows this? We're going to overlay that very quickly on the Bitcoin chart. And just get rid of all of these for a moment. If we can get away with this before the noise starts again. Right, look at this. Look what happens. Yeah. So this is Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance. We now want to see, look, Bitcoin dominance here, which is the red line. If we're looking at this on the Ethereum chart, look what happens. When the red line goes up, it goes down. When the red line goes down, Ethereum price goes up. That's because, Ethereum being king of the alts, that's what we're kind of looking at here for Confluence. So what we want to see here is Bitcoin dominance continue to fall, really give us that alt season, right? Look at this massive run up here. Notice how price is just rocketing up here while this is moving down here. This is what we want to look at with BTCD. You can add that to your chart, by the way, just by clicking on the little plus sign here. BTC DOM USDT.P, yeah. And then when you click it, it'll ask you price scale or new price scale. Click same percentage, right? Otherwise, your chart just goes all weird. All right. All right, legends. Thank you so much for your time today. Respect to every single one of you for taking your time out of the day to, better your lives and be part of what we're doing over here. I hope it has been useful. I look forward to seeing you all with us over at the Nest. Remember, the Black Friday deal ends tonight at midnight. Grab your chance to get 50% off and just come and join us on this amazing adventure. Have a fantastic week ahead. I look forward to seeing you all very soon. I will see you all around the Nest.